Hello students. Well, in this video I would like to help you so that you can do the paragraph writing activity that you will that will follow the block structure. So as you know, we are the assignment that you just finished was the analysis of a paragraph that follows the block structure, which was this, and hopefully you get a lot from it. So you were asked to analyze different aspects, different yeah, aspects of it, like paragraph structure and uh, the topic sentence, how it connects to key terms and ideas, how the author modulates stance, reporting verbs, in-text citations, all of that you did here, you analyzed it, but now in the next assignment, you will be writing a paragraph with that structure, with that same structure. So for that reason, I thought that I would make a a walkthrough, okay, a video in a document in which I will guide you through the steps that you can follow to do it in a more organized and a strategic way. So let's not lose much time in the just let's get to it. And so your task for this next assignment is now paragraph writing, and you're going to use that same structure, the block structure. So just to remember, just to review the block structure, basically you have a topic sentence, then you have a development sentence, and then an example or a supporting sentence, and then that repeats that. So that is a block, and then you have another block. So you have your topic sentence with your controlling idea, which contains the key terms and key ideas, then a development and an example. So you will see as we do this activity, you will see how that actually gets done, hopefully. So your task is to use the block structure to write an argumentative paragraph that answers the question, is outsourcing beneficial for a company? Now, I know that these topics, globalization, economic inequality, corporate social responsibility, outsourcing, those are topics that are not related to you, right? But they are general topics that we use them because we have these exercises, these activities that give us text to analyze, and that give us also activities with sources. So I think that is very convenient to have a writing activity where you have these sources for either stance, right? So either you choose to be in favor of something or against something. You have at least some text that you can base your uh, your your uh, your ideas on, okay, or your writing on. So that is why we are covering those topics. So in this case, if you don't know what outsourcing is, I would probably advise you to I actually gave you a here a website where you can see just basically the first part here. You can read what outsourcing is, but basically outsourcing is when companies hire other companies or other people outside of their company to do some type of work, and that it brings they save money, and a lot of it brings a lot of benefits to the company. So it's a very common practice nowadays in businesses, and but it is also controversial. And so um, what I would like to do, I'm gonna go over the steps, and you're not gonna see me write the paragraph about outsourcing, because if I write a paragraph about outsourcing, you're gonna basically have some of you may end up being very or more influenced by my decisions than it would be beneficial for you. So I would what I will do is I will do the paragraph about globalization that you already did. So you already did a paragraph on globalization, and I'm gonna do that same paragraph, but I'm gonna follow the steps, and you can follow those same steps to do your paragraph on outsourcing. Okay, so in the writing of any paragraphs, so just so that you know what exactly what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the same sources that you had in the previous assignment. So when you wrote the paragraph on globalization, it was very similar. Now you're gonna do your paragraph might end up being a little bit larger because or longer because now the structure is a little bit more. It has two parts. So, but in any case, I'm gonna use these sources here that you already used in your previous writing assignment. Okay, so we're practicing writing with paragraphs, and so in the last one you use these sources. I'm gonna use them for to demonstrate how to write a paragraph using the block structure. Okay, so first here, the first step that I would ask you to take is begin with the question. So you're given a question here. Is globalization, well, this is the question that I'm giving, no? You are giving this question. Is outsourcing beneficial for a company? So you have to know what outsourcing is, and then you have to probably read the arguments for yes and the arguments for no, and then make up your mind and decide or choose one stand, which is the stand you're gonna go for in your paragraph. Okay, so you're gonna choose a stand, yes or no, and then you're going to, and this is very important, in this assignment you're going to follow the block structure. Okay, so for this assignment you're going to follow this structure here. All right, so once you do that, okay, so think about that question and choose a stance. So yes or no, what do you think? So once you do that, okay, once you choose a stance, before you write the topic sentence or anything else, there is a key step that you should take, and I think this is very important, and that will be reading very carefully the three sources, the excerpts that you have. Okay, so reading these three. So if you choose yes, you should probably read this very carefully so that you can extract essential things, and those essential things are the key terms the key terms that will make up your controlling idea. So the controlling idea, or sometimes called the main idea of the topic sentence. Now, for those of you who do not understand yet what we mean by that, basically, when you have a paragraph, right? Like let's say, for example, this one here, right? This one here that you just analyzed. If you look at the topic sentence, it tells you, or it gives you a main idea that points or that uses key terminology to express a complete thought or something, right? So, for example, economic inequality is affecting poor communities through the two key areas of unfairness of income distribution and tax evasion. So you have key terminologies, right? Key terms, I'm sorry, that together you use them, you refer to them to say something, and that something is your controlling idea. Basically, what you are going to develop and what you are going to support. Okay, so what I am going to do here is what you are going to do is that, well, you're going to read your three sources, whether you choose yes or no, and you're going to extract those key terms, and you're going to choose what ideas to use. I'm going to exemplify. The one thing that I tell you here is that the claims made by the authors and the data they provide to support them. Basically, it is important to see that what you're going to get from these sources are what the authors say, and you want to also extract some data or examples to support those claims. You may need to use external sources to get data or examples, but first you should probably look at the key idea. So in the only way I can show you, and the whole reason I made this video is to do it myself, to do exactly what I'm asking you to do, so that I don't have to explain it to you, I can show it to you, okay? So I'm going to exemplify that, but like I said, I'm going to use the globalization topic and the sources from this assignment, okay? So I'm going to use these sources here. So I chose yes as my stance in this globalization paragraph. I chose yes. So I am going to be in favor for this assignment. And what I mean by choosing, by extracting key terms and ideas is probably use some type of color to, what I do is that for example, globalization is one, free trade, global economic growth, and then creates jobs, so the creation of jobs. So if you notice, I am using a similar color, so probably this color is kind of like greenish, so it's related to this one. And also poor countries, so that's another color that is related to economic growth, develop and prosper economically. That's another concept, right? Development and prosperity, economic development and prosperity, that's related to this. So if you notice, that's what you do is that you look at concepts, terms, and you identify them, and you see if they have a relationship, and that is going to be very important, so that you can come up with conclusions. Okay, so these are the concepts that I extracted from these three sources. And well, like I said here, if you notice, I am trying to connect the key terms. I'm trying to put them, like, at least have them in a similar color, right? So for example, conditions of democracy, respect for human rights, politics and economics are merging. So I try to kind of like relate them to see if I can come up with conclusions, okay? So I'm trying to connect them so that I can form a controlling idea. So to come up with a main idea that will give me that will allow me to say something, I need to start seeing connections. Okay, so I should mention that you don't have to consider all the key terms. You don't have to use every key term that you have in sources. You're gonna choose only some, and the necessary ones that will help you to come up with conclusions. So after I studied these three sources and I made some connections, I came up with these two conclusions. Okay, so the first conclusion is that global powers have political influence on the national policy of developing countries, and basically on all countries, I should correct probably here, in regards to human rights and democracy, and that they accomplish this influence through economic means. So that is one conclusion that I was able to draw from this information. And the other conclusion is that economic prosperity in the form of more jobs, free trade, lower prices for consumers, and access to foreign technology are some of the incentives that encourage developing countries to accept this political influence. So as you can see, I came up with two conclusions. This is not the writing. These are just two conclusions that I was able to draw. You don't have to do this. This is just something that I like to do, to come up with conclusions before I can synthesize a topic sentence. So after making those conclusions, after connecting, after everything, I was able to say, okay, this is what I am going to say in this paragraph. This is what I want this paragraph to be about. And that is going to go into my topic sentence, okay? So that is what, after doing that, I was able to write my topic sentence. So in my topic sentence, I write, the economic growth and benefits brought forth by globalization are partly possible because the countries who participate in its exchanges are able to align their views, beliefs, and values. This alignment is designed and facilitated by intergovernmental organizations that guide countries in their policymaking so that they may grow not only economically but also in matters such as human rights and democracy. So that is my topic sentence. So what I am saying is that those benefits, that economic growth is in part possible because countries are able to align their views, their beliefs, and that this alignment is possible and facilitated or designed, you could say, by intergovernmental organizations such as the UN, the World Trade Organization, the World Health Organization, all of those intergovernmental organizations that basically help countries come together, right, and align their views. So that is my topic sentence. And it gives me a main controlling idea that I will use to expand, that I will develop, okay? So, for example, what I will do in the development section is that I will expand the key term of economic growth and benefits so that it encompasses other things, okay? So now, your turn. So what I would like you to do now is take a look at your sources from the paragraph writing activity number 3, outsourcing, okay? After choosing one stance, take a good, give it a good read to this, or read carefully, right? Each of these 3 paragraphs, these sources, and extract those key terms and ideas and see if you can connect or make some or come up with some conclusions so that maybe you will be able to form a main idea that you want to express, something that you want to say, and then, right, you may come up with conclusions or just come up with your topic sentence. So what your paragraph is going to be about, that is your topic sentence, okay? What you are going to develop. Okay, so after you do that, well, yeah, write your topic sentence. Once you have your you can pause the video here and do it, or you can continue watching and just do this after you finish the video. It's up to you. So you can pause it here, and then you can move. After you do it, you can move to this, continue watching, and move to this next step. The next step, after you write your topic sentence, having your topic sentence, it will be easier. So I would really, my advice is, I would spend some time trying to craft a good topic sentence, trying to have a solid idea. This is what good academic writing, one of the main things in good academic writing is having sections, in this case paragraphs, that tell you something. Not just dividing text where it looks nice or necessary, but actually having your paragraphs say something, express an idea. So you need to have that idea. You need to know what you're going to say. So, and in your paragraph, so in your topic sentence is going to express that in a concise way, in a clear way. Okay, so I would spend some time doing the topic sentence. When you do it, if you did a good job, it will be easier, okay? The rest will be easier. When you, in the block structure, you're going to have, your topic sentence, and then you're going to have a development sentence that is supported by, that is followed by a supporting sentence with evidence, data, or statistics, or examples, right? So, whether you choose yes or no as your stance, you're going to have the same structure. So the next step will be to plan and write the first development sentence, right? Plan and write first development sentence. So what I would advise is that you take another good look at your sources and decide how you're going to use them now to write your sentences. Like how, because basically your development sentence, a lot of the time, you're going to be reporting what other authors say. You're going to be not doing direct quotes necessarily, but you're going to report what other authors say to develop your main idea, because you need that support, right, from author claims from or authorities. It can be an organization or an author. So you're going to be using mechanisms such as reporting verbs, cohesive devices, of course, to make it more to make it connect, hedging, nominalization, passive structure. So you're going to be paraphrasing. So you're going to use some paraphrasing mechanisms, techniques, and reporting verbs. Many of the things we have seen during the semester. So again, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to take a look at my sources. So here are my sources, and here are my conclusions. And here is my topic sentence that I made. So I'm going to have those three things, and I would highly advise you have them in front of you when you are trying to make up your mind. Remember, writing should follow, or it will be, in my opinion, at least, I think writing should follow thought, coherent thought, right? So not just writing and then as I'm writing, I'm thinking. So probably have a good understanding of what you're gonna say, right, before you start writing it. So I would take a look again at what I have. So I have my sources, my conclusions. I'm not gonna use this, but I am going to use this. This is my topic sentence. So with a clear topic sentence, I can just it's going to be very easy because I'm just going to report authors' claims. Basically, a lot of the times you're going to do that. So what I'm saying here, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to take this here, this source, and I'm going to use it and to support part of what I say. So in my topic sentence, I am saying that the economic growth and benefits, that there are economic growth and benefits that globalization brings, and that they are in part possible because countries align their views and values, right, and beliefs. And I am saying, right, so that's something I am saying. And so I need to develop that, and I need to use kind of like I need to support that with claims made by an author or an authority, right? So I chose this one here, right? And I wrote my first development sentence based on this information here. So this here tells me globalization is creating a global power whereby politics and economics are merging. Global decisions are now being taken which are beneficial for people all over the world. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say something very similar to that, but I'm going to make it fit make it work for my topic sentence, for my idea, for what I want to express. So this is going to be my first development sentence. The United Nations, for example, claims that globalization is fostering a process whereby political and economic lives, the political and the economic lives of participating countries are merging in a coordinated fashion, which ends up facilitating the taking of decisions that benefit all. So that fits my terminology, that fits my narrative, what I want to say, and but I'm using the information here. And now I'm changing a lot of things, right? So the first thing that I would like to mention here is that if you notice, I'm using the word whereby, the adverb here. Whereby it is also used here. Whereby, and I am using it also, but sometimes you will use one or two words that are in your source, and sometimes it is you don't. It is okay. I mean, it is fine if you use one word, and with words such as whereby, which finding an equivalent would be a little bit difficult, or I just want to use it. That is not plagiarism. Using one word, one conjunction, one adverb, one adjective, it's not plagiarism. Don't feel like you have to change everything. No, you just you can use an adjective, you can use a verb. You may need to do that. It will be it's not plagiarism. It's not. It is not necessary to change everything to avoid plagiarism. Okay, so now I'm not saying use. I'm saying put it in your own words, and if your own words and your thought needs a word that was used in the source, by all means use it. So I'm doing that here. Okay. Now, one thing that I would like you to notice is that if you see here, I'm using two paraphrasing mechanisms. One of which we already saw in class, and one that we haven't seen. So this is gonna be also kind of like a lesson within a lesson, because if you look at the source, it's much more concise in a way. And well, the first thing that I'm doing is that I'm using nominalization. Where? Well, a process. So I'm using nouns. I'm making nouns out of things that are verbs, right? So, for example, here, the taking of decisions. So that originally was global decisions are now being taken. So that was in the passive voice, and that was already in the passive voice. So what I'm doing is that I'm basically making it a noun, right? So instead of saying that global decisions are being taken which are beneficial for people, I'm saying that countries, the political and economic lives of participating countries are merging in a coordinated fashion, which ends up facilitating. So this is the verb now, and this is a thing. So notice that I am basically playing with the concept, so that I say it, I can put it in my own words. And nominalization is one of the most useful and effective mechanisms for paraphrasing, guys. I would highly advise you to not to overuse. Of course, you should have your a lot of mechanisms and ways to change and paraphrase and synthesize and say things in your own, express your own conclusions, but nominalization is a very good mechanism to use. The other mechanism that I'm using is addition. Now, addition is a process in which you basically insert things that were not originally, or that either were implicit in the source, or that you think that will help the idea come across in a more effective way. Now, for example, in the original source, well, I'm using the word fostering here. That was not part of it, right? So it doesn't say foster here, which whereby politics. So it says whereby politics and economics are merging. To begin with, it uses politics and economics, and I'm using political and economic lives. So I'm adding the word lives, and that already is using my own words. So this is from my own. I'm adding, right, some words from my own vocabulary. Okay. A process. So the word process is not used in the source, right? It only says that are now merging. So I'm saying it's fostering a process whereby the political and economic lives of participating countries is another word that I'm using, that I'm adding, right? I didn't highlight that, but I'm also adding that word. Sorry, it should be this color. Are merging in a coordinated fashion. So also here, we don't have that. You don't have coordinated fashion. I am also adding that that concept here. And the word facilitating also is from my vocabulary. It comes from my vocabulary. So we have the main mechanism that I'm using here in this paragraph, in this sentence, is taking this idea, but I am kind of like expanding or saying it in a different way, but mainly by using by adding concepts that may make it more precise. So this addition mechanism is the opposite of subtraction, and it honestly it depends on. I think it depends on your source. If your source is very concise, as in the case of this here, the idea is put in a very concise and simple way, and that is fine. And if I simplify it, I cannot probably take instead of taking away words or concepts, I may add some that may enrich or make it more understandable or more precise. So I think that in this case, it is a good opportunity to use the process of addition, which not which I think you should not overdo. I would advise not to overdo either addition or subtraction. Subtraction is the opposite. It's when you take away and you simplify things more. You make them much more concise. So that's when your source, for example, is more elaborate and uses more vocabulary. And so it depends a lot on your source. So how you, or your sources, the way that you're going to paraphrase. Okay, so those are two mechanisms that we had not talked about: addition and subtraction, which I will also highlight here in a different color. Okay, so that's another one, subtraction. So I'm also gonna put it away, right? So the opposite, right? So this is my first development sentence, and I think that it takes this idea and basically expresses it. I think it works, and it connects. I think it connects nicely with my topic sentence. So I'm gonna move forward, and now what I need is to support that, to support this that the United Nations is saying. I need to support it with evidence. So at this point, you need to ask yourself, what claims do I need to support? So I need to support this claim. And do I have the data or examples to do it within my sources? Well, normally, when you research, that the researching part is going to happen way before writing. Okay, so most of the time you should probably have all your sources, most of your sources at least, before you start writing. In this case, in particular, I don't have data to support this statement, and because this is an exercise, an activity that comes within a worksheet. So I need something. I need some source that can help me support this. And so what I ended up doing is I went ahead and researched some more, and I found this document from the United Nations. Also, that's a good idea to kind of like, if you can. I thought it would be very consistent. So same, basically the same author, in this case, an organization. And I found this document, From Decisions to Actions, and it says this here, but in this is data, are examples and data that I can use to support that statement. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to write my supporting sentence. So a sentence that will support this here. So what I'm saying is that the United Nations, for example, claims that globalization is fostering a process whereby the political and economic lives of participating countries are merging in a coordinated fashion, which ends up facilitating the taking of decisions that benefit all. So what I want to focus on, because sometimes you cannot focus on everything, I want to focus, this is, I mean, this would be, this is what I want to support mainly, that all of this do benefit all. So I get some data and I wrote this from this data. According to the organization, meaning the United Nations, right? Nearly 1 billion people have been lifted out of extreme poverty in 20 years, and the proportion of people living in destitution has been reduced by half. United Nations 2015, page 3. So what happened here? Well, I did this on purpose. I used a direct quote. This is not the text here is the number of words I'm quoting is fine, so that it can be in line. It doesn't have to be separated, and so I can use the here I can use just the quote marks. And one important thing that I would like you to see is that because I did a direct quote, I do write the page. Remember that? So when you do those direct quotes, you do have to write the page. When you just use the when you paraphrase, or when you use the source, when you use a text as a source for claims or ideas, but you don't take directly, you have the option of just using the date. And but when you use direct quotes, it's not optional. You need to provide the page where you which you take the text from. Okay, so so yes, I chose to do that. I think that I am using a direct quote. It will be your call, your decision when to use direct quotes. However, like I said here, I would deter you from filling your text with direct quotes as a way to save time. I mean, we may be tempted to, and a lot, it happens. It happens. Quoting directly can be a very time-saving. I don't know. It's not. I don't think it's a technique, because it's not really a technique. It's just something we do. So it can be a way to save time, but I would say that the reader will be able to tell, and because you're not really writing, if you're just quoting and doing direct quote, it's gonna reflect poorly on your ability to synthesize ideas, because remember, that's what you have to do, right? So I think you should be very developed a kind of like a good sense of, okay, this is a good moment to use a direct quote. This type of thing, the way that it is put here, it is data. It's data. It's not something that, I mean, it's fine. It's something that the source is giving evidence. So I would say it's a good opportunity to use a direct quote, and that is the only case in which I'm gonna do it in the paragraph. Okay, so now I have my topic sentence, my first. So I'm gonna go to the finished one. So I have my topic sentence, right? I have my first development sentence, and I have my first supporting sentence. So this sentence gives data that supports this here, which is what the United Nations claims, right? So it claims that, again, globalization is fostering a process whereby the political and economic lives of participating countries are merging in a coordinated fashion, which ends up facilitating the taking of decisions that benefit all. So here, when I write this supporting sentence, I am trying to support this, specifically this here, that benefit all. Because why did I choose to support that? Because that's probably what's going to be questioned. Okay, so you are argumenting in favor of this, and a person might tell you, okay, give me an example of that benefit, right? So I'm choosing to support that. All right, so that is the first part here. So once I'm done with that, I'm done with that, and then what I'm gonna do now, all right, is I'm gonna write my second development sentence. Now for this one, what I want to focus on from my topic sentence, because I'm saying in my topic sentence, I'm saying that that this economic growth and benefits is possible because countries align their views and values, right? And that this is possible thanks to organizations such as the UN, for example, and that help countries making policies so that these countries grow, but not only economically, but also in matters of human rights and democracy. So my topic sentence, what it says is that that basically what I'm trying to express is that these benefits, right, come from being able to see eye to eye in key in some key aspects, or like countries being able to see eye to eye when it comes to matters of human rights and democracy. So they have to align their views. So that is an important part, and I chose to write my second development sentence to develop that part. So so this is what I ended up using the source. I went and used this here and this source here, and I used this part of the source. Okay, so what The Economist says is that globalization, right, also creates the conditions in which democracy and respect for human rights may flourish. And it also tells me that poor countries are given the opportunity to develop and prosper economically. So what I am saying in my second development sentence is such economic prosperity. So notice that I would probably should change. I should probably change here this for such an improvement in economic matters. So I'm just going to stay with this. I think you get the idea, but I'm referring to this, right? So such economic prosperity, referring to the improvement or benefits in in the economy of those countries, could go hand in hand with the flourishment of human rights and democratic values within a society, and especially in developing economies, as The Economist suggests. So I think there are many things I could probably point out from this sentence. The first one would be that notice how I am first I'm using this connecting or this is a linking mechanism. This is a cohesive device because I'm saying such economic prosperity, and I am referring to something that I previously. So I am referring back to something else, right? So notice that connection. Also notice that I am hedging here. So I'm using could, right? So notice the use of the word could as a hedging mechanism, right? So that will be important to see, right? So probably that will be important that one. Also, notice. So I should probably say here notice, right? Notice, and then the word, the use of the word, such as a cohesive device, right? I think it's device with C, right? In doubt, device, let me see. Honestly, I don't remember if it's, I'm trying to use device with C is the thing. Yes, expect, yeah. So it's device with C. Device with S is to devise something. So, device, use of the word could as a hedging mechanism, and could go hand in hand with the flourishing of human rights. Now, notice how nominalization here, important. I'm using nominalization here. So instead of, if you look at the source, it says the conditions in which democracy and respect for human rights may flourish. And what I'm doing is that I am nominalizing flourish, may flourish, for the flourishing, right, of human rights. So that's another, you see, you have to see, oh, this is a good opportunity for this is a good opportunity for that. You start using the mechanisms that we learn. So such economic prosperity could go hand in hand with the flourishing of human rights and democratic values within a society, and especially in developing. So I'm changing the word poor, which I think is also a good, poor countries, yeah. But I think nowadays it's a good opportunity to use the word developing economies, no, or developing countries. That would be a little bit more politically correct. So, develop and prosper economy. Again, notice how I nominalize such economic prosperity. I'm also using nominalization here, right? So, notice nominalization, right? Nominalization. Prosperity, flourishing, right? Flourishing. So, yeah, that's also important to note how those techniques are used, those mechanisms. And I'm finally saying, who says this? As The Economist 2018 suggests, reporting verb, right? Reporting verb suggests. So there you can probably see more things here, but I would say that that's enough for analysis for this part here, and just see how I was able to take this. I think I was able to take this source and take what I wanted from it and make it fit what I want to say, right? So now that I have now that I'm saying that such economic prosperity could go hand in hand with the flourishing of human rights and democratic values within a society, and especially in developing economies, instead of poor countries, I'm changing developing economies I'm using that instead of poor countries. That in that case, I'm just using another term that can be used. I'm substituting, and I think and it's a good substitution, I think. So I would also should probably also include that the substitution of poor countries for developing economies. So I think that that is another, that's part of I would say a lexical exchange, right? So it's not exactly the same, a country and an economy, but in this context I think they could be interchangeable. So well, this is all that some of the things that I would point you to, that I did, that I used from what we have learned to write this, okay, from the source. So now finally I need a supporting sentence for this claim. Again, I needed to do some research to find something that could help me, and I found a post. I took it from an article, an online article, and it says this here, and I took this from this post, and now sometimes you may want to. It depends on the context. If you are in a paragraph and in that paragraph you have not mentioned, sometimes when you write something, sometimes you're going to base it on heavily on the work of a couple of authors or some authors, right? But it may be the case that you are at a point where you have not mentioned a source or an author, and I find it useful, and really I find that it gives credibility to writing when you give some type of background, if the author deserves that background, right? Or not that the author deserves it, but sometimes I just feel that it gives credibility when you give the background of an author, especially if it's an authority on the subject. So here, for example, I begin by mentioning the author, Tony Addison, and then I am kind of like telling you who this guy is, right? So, professor of economics, former chief economist, deputy. Blah, blah, blah. Now, a very useful word for someone who used to be, right? Like, for example, Barack Obama, right? Is the former president, right, of the U.S. Now, former means that he used to have that position. So this is a good word to know, because sometimes one of your sources may be someone who used to have a very important position or a key position, and instead of saying Barack Obama, who used to be the president, this is a very useful term, and it is right in the academic register. Okay, so notice here the use of the word former. Okay, so I would point you and I will tell you that this word will be really, really good for you to know. Okay, so when someone used to have an important position, right? So Tony Addison, former chief economist and deputy at this, so an authority in this regard, in this type of subject matter, states that in the last decades of the 20th century alone, 81 countries that were previously under authoritarian regimes are now democracies. He goes on to say that despite the fragility that characterizes New democracies, critical factors such as human rights, freedom of expression, and living standards are much better regarded within democratic political systems than they are under authoritarian rule. So I did have to change a lot of the way that he put it, and I employed different mechanisms here. I used nominalization, I used restructuring using passive voice to active voice to passive voice, different things. But all things, I added some terms, I extracted another. Like I played with the text, but I basically just took what I wanted, right? I just took what I wanted. So, for example, one example of nominalization would be that the fragility. So, if you go to the source, he says, although new democracies are often fragile. So I am nominalizing that, and I'm saying that despite the fragility that characterizes new democracies. Do you see? So he says, although new democracies are often fragile. So I should probably add the word here that often characterizes new democracies, because that's what he says, right? He goes on to say that despite their fragility, that often characterizes new democracies, right? So just notice how you play with things, and you that's how you really put to work all that you have learned about grammar, and that's why it is so important to understand grammar deeply, right? So that you can play with these things. So I have, this is my supporting sentence for my second, and then I at the end I give the here's the in text citation. So because I did mention him here, but I'm basically introducing the author, right? And then here I begin to say states. So this is my reporting verb, states. And then here I add the citation. So finally, I have to write a concluding or summarizing sentence, which you will be able to see here in the finished paragraph. So this is the finished paragraph. So if you read the finished paragraph, it ended up reading like this. The economic growth and benefits brought forth by globalization are partly possible because the countries partaking in it are able to align their views, beliefs, and values. This alignment is designed and facilitated by intergovernmental organizations that guide countries in their policy making so that they may grow not only economically but also in matters such as human rights and democracy. That's my topic sentence. That's what I want to say in the paragraph. Let's see if I accomplish that. The United Nations, leading intergovernmental organization, claims that globalization is fostering a process whereby the political and economic lives of participating countries are merging in a coordinated fashion, which ends up facilitating the taking of decisions that benefit all. According to the same, I should probably use same here, organization, partly as a result of this process, nearly 1 billion people have been lifted out of extreme poverty in 20 years, and the proportion of people living in destitution has been reduced by half. Citation. Second development paragraph. Such economic prosperity could go hand in hand with the flourishing of human rights and democratic values within a society, especially in developing economies, as The Economist 2018 suggests. Second development. Support. Tony Addison, professor of economics and former chief economist at deputy director of Weiberg, Helsinki, Finland, states that in the last decades of the 20th century alone, 81 countries that were previously under authoritarian regimes are now democracies. He goes on to say that despite the fragility that often, I forgot to add often here also, characterizes new democracies, critical factors such as human rights, freedom of expression, and living standards are much better regarded within the democratic political systems than they are under authoritarian rule. Now, notice how I did give background on this author, but where did I do it? I did it in the supporting sentence. So that if you notice, it really works because I am telling you, okay, this guy with these credentials gives this information, that gives credibility, that supports what I'm saying here or what the economist suggests, right? So to conclude, in light of this, it may be concluded that the normalization of views, values, and beliefs that results from the process of globalization and is facilitated by intergovernmental organizations such as the UN tends to foster socioeconomic environments that are more amicable towards matters of human rights and living standards. So that's the whole paragraph. It's a very long paragraph, I know. I'm aware. And honestly, I would aim for you will have a lot depending on the type of text you're writing. It's greatly in part of that. Like if you're writing a long, it depends, but you probably have. I mean, there will be paragraphs this long. Of course, there will be paragraphs this long, but what matters is that you have the structure, you have the flow. I hope it has the flow. And I am I'm developing and supporting what I am saying in my topic sentence, and then I end up by reasserting that right here. So that would be the process, guys, and I would finish by proofreading the paragraph, so I would look for errors and possible improvements. Now, you have to do the same thing, right? But you have to do it with the topic of outsourcing. So you can follow these steps. You can follow these same steps, and that may give you the more aware you are of what you're doing, the more you're going to learn from this type of projects, okay? So I am not asking for a long document. I am not asking for an essay yet. I'm not asking for a long document. It's kind of like a summary. This, but it is not a summary. It's a paragraph, and it's an argument paragraph that is giving it's having a positive stance on globalization, right? As you will do when you write your paragraph on outsourcing, right? And it says here 100 to 150 words. You're gonna end up having more than that. I mean, if I do a word count here, it will very likely give me at least 300 or either more words. Yeah, you see, I have a colmillo, right? So 300 words. I only missed by 7. So you have but this is still a paragraph, okay? It's twice the size of what the activity here is asking, but remember that, well, it depends, right? It's fine if you have 150 words. That's okay, as long as you accomplish what you are, as long as you fulfill the expectations, which is following, developing that topic sentence within 2 blocks, and each block being a development sentence and a supporting sentence. As long as you use the mechanisms, the hatching mechanisms, the paraphrasing mechanisms that we learned, the use of reporting verbs, the use of conjunctions, cohesive devices, as long as you do your citations correctly. One thing that I forgot to add here, and I should do it, before I will do it when I upload this to the platform for you. The list of references, I need to do that, so I will do that so that you have the finished product. Remember, this paragraph that I did is not about what you're gonna write. You're gonna write about outsourcing. I'm writing about globalization, which was the previous topic. But I'm doing it with hopes of you having a walkthrough of the process. Okay, so hope that it helps. Hope that you can use this document to guide your process. And like I said, the more aware of what you're doing, it's like playing chess. A lot like playing chess. Writing is a lot like playing chess. This type of writing, at least. Maybe writing with more artistic intentions is different, but still, I would say that writing is a lot like playing chess. Is looking ahead, making decisions, thinking about 2 or 3 steps before, right? So kind of like visualizing where you want to go, what you want to say, and to start moving the pieces so that it's a lot. It's a very similar thought process. So it's a conscious thing. So that's the good thing that I want you. That's why I want you to have this process here and see that I am not just writing, because you need to be aware of what you're doing. You need to follow steps to remember mechanisms. I can do this, I can do that, and this is gonna work better, or this doesn't sound connected, or I'm losing track of what I'm saying. You need to be very critical about those things. So I hope this helped, and well, that's it for this online or this tutorial. And if you have questions or need with your paragraph, feel free to contact me through Telegram. And well, I'll be seeing you, and good luck with doing this assignment, which, remember, is the writing of the paragraph about outsourcing with block block structure. Remember, the first one is with block structure. Okay, so don't forget that. Okay, so I'll be seeing you then. Thanks.